Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're tracking the incredibly fast-paced journey of KalVista Pharmaceuticals. We're essentially looking at a masterclass in the biotech life cycle, tracking the whole shebang, from identifying a crucial unmet medical need all the way to a massive corporate buyout. So if you want to understand how cutting-edge science, rapid commercialization, and high-stakes finance all intersect, you are absolutely in the right place.
Right, let's dive right in by asking a pretty foundational question. What actually happens when a small biotech company creates the world's first oral treatment for a rare genetic disease? Because, it's one thing to have a brilliant breakthrough in the lab, but it's an entirely different beast to successfully get it to the patients who desperately need it, while also navigating the intense financial realities of the pharma industry.
Section 1. Meet KalVista Pharmaceuticals. To really appreciate KalVista's corporate success, we first need to understand the medical problem they set out to solve. That problem is hereditary angioedema, or HAE. It's a rare genetic disease that causes a deficiency or dysfunction in a specific protein. That dysfunction leads to the uncontrolled activation of something called the kallikrein-kinin system. And for the patient, well, it means experiencing painful, debilitating, and literally life-threatening attacks of tissue swelling in various parts of the body.
And it's not just a physical burden either. Dr. Mauro Cancian, who heads the allergy division at the University of Padua, put it really well. He points out that treating this condition historically meant relying on frequent, often traumatic injections. HAE presents completely distinct physiological and psychological hurdles, especially for adolescents who have to manage unpredictable, puberty-driven flare-ups right alongside the sheer anxiety of these injectable therapies.
Section 2. The Equiterally Breakthrough. This context brilliantly illustrates why KalVista's innovation was such a monumental shift for the HAE community. KalVista developed EKL-Tierly, which is known scientifically as sebetralstat. It achieved a massive milestone by being included as a first-line therapy for adolescents 12 and older in the International Pediatric HAE Guideline. Why is this a real game-changer? Because EKL-Tierly is the first and only oral on-demand treatment for HAE. It completely eliminates the immense burden of those frequent injections, allowing for rapid self-administration anytime, anywhere.
And the market responded to this innovation like wildfire. EKterly launched in the US in July 2025. By late February 2026, KalVista had recorded 1,702 patient start forms. That is a staggering figure. To put that into perspective, it represents almost 20% of the entire US patient population for this rare disease, captured in just a matter of months. Plus, they activated over 700 unique prescribers in that same tiny window. Section 3. Inside the financials. So the crucial question now is, how did this incredible medical triumph translate into KalVista's corporate financial statements? Let's open the books.
What we have here is a classic biotech financial dichotomy. For the 8 months ending December 31, 2025, KalVista brought in a really impressive $49.1 million in global net product revenue, completely driven by that strong launch. But right alongside that, you have a net loss of $109.5 million for that exact same period.
Let's break down where that heavy loss came from. Their research and development expenses actually decreased down to $33.4 million, mostly because their major clinical trials were wrapping up, but their selling, general, and administrative expenses? That number skyrocketed to $124.7 million. Basically, this massive investment was required to build out the commercialization infrastructure to get Exterly off the ground. Luckily, they maintained a very healthy war chest, sitting on $300.2 million in cash and marketable securities to fund their runway.
And Wall Street clearly saw the long-term vision here. Despite those steep operating losses, the sheer market potential of an oral HAE drug pushed KalVista's market capitalization to an impressive $1.43 billion, with shares trading around $27. The market was absolutely pricing in the massive future value of the drug.
Section 4. Insider trading activity. Now let's pivot to a really fascinating piece of context. What were the executives doing during this period of high valuation?
While according to SEC filings, on May 27, 2026, KalVista's Chief Development Officer, Christopher Ye, exercised options and immediately sold 33,800 shares on the open market. This transaction happened at a weighted average purchase price of $26.78 per share, which netted roughly $905,000.
Now, when we see insider selling, it's super easy to jump to conclusions. But we should note impartially that this was an option exercise with an immediate disposition.
More importantly, he still retained nearly 230,000 direct shares in the company, valued at over $6.16 million at the time. So he clearly kept significant skin in the game and stayed aligned with the company's future.
Section 5. The Chiesi acquisition. And that future materialized remarkably fast. This insider activity was happening right as the ultimate validation of KalVista's life cycle was brewing behind the scenes, a major corporate acquisition. In late April 2026, news broke that Chiesi Group, a huge international research-focused biopharma group, agreed to acquire KalVista. Chiesi offered $27 per share in cash. That represents an equity consideration of approximately $1.9 billion, a very healthy premium over their standalone market cap. Chiesi was looking to expand its rare disease portfolio, and Ekterly was literally the perfect fit.
Just look at how this builds a picture-perfect corporate narrative. KalVista launches Ekterly in July 2025. By December, they've proven incredible market viability with almost $50 million in revenue. By April 2026, the Chiesi acquisition is announced, and by June 2026, the deal is officially complete. We're talking about going from commercial launch to a nearly $2 billion buyout in under a year. So, as we wrap up this explainer, we're left with a pretty compelling thought. KalVista proved that an oral on-demand treatment could capture 20% of the U.S. market in a matter of months. Now, with the massive global resources, the established sales force, and the rare disease expertise of Chiesi Group fully behind Ekterly, how quickly will the lives of HAE patients worldwide transform? It is a massive win for science, for investors, and most importantly, for the patients who can finally leave the injections behind. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and keep questioning how the next big breakthrough will change the market.